Citizen Crime Panel that I've called for the dismissal of Chief Constable Chris Eyre.
I'll support that, sir. I'll support that, sir.
No, I don't want a letter, right? He sat in there like he's really somebody, right? The last time I met him here, right, I told him I'd had to come all the way from New York, Paddy, and you're very much aware of it, because either you or Chris Cotton or one of the others had the video taken down, right?
And he said,
told him I had to come all the way from America to fight the paedophiles at the council, and the fact that the police shut my case down in 2003, and it's still under investigation by the IPCC. He said to me, good for you.
He said, well done.
Is that a credible police chief constable?
That's contempt. All he didn't do is clap at him, just to tip him. All he didn't do is clap at him.
Amanda, step in.
Contempt.
Just reply to that point. Yeah. You've made a complaint around that. Chris Copeland is investigating.
No, you're not going to separate it, Paddy.
I'm afraid you've got to.
No, you haven't. It's all part and parcel of the same thing.
Right. Well, I've written to you. I changed the letter today because the one that had been drafted wasn't satisfactory. You'll have it in the morning.
Really?
Yes.
So are you going to address all the issues, right, that we've brought to you?
I think you should read the letter and then get in touch with me, as you always do, and come in and have a discussion about it.
So what about all the criminal acts that have been committed against me by agents of the City Council or by Messrs and Co? Criminal acts, Paddy, right, that the police failed to investigate.
Yes.
Like the fact that I was assaulted by an agent of the City
From the council, and they could have got that, find out who assaulted him. Because somebody sent that.
Okay.
It's called perverting, of course.
I'm just sorry with you, and not my responsibility.
No, but the chief constable is. It's time you sit on the fence, Paddy.
I've never sat on the fence, Mickey. I've always gone out of my way to meet you when you wanted to.
But that is your job.
Right then, there's a couple of things I wanted just to address. Last week we was having over 5 survivors shut down with their cases, all coming to me, phoning them up in tears. There's been misconduct in public office. We have paperwork to prove that their cases have still been shut down. This is one lady that her case has been shut down. I've not brought it to her yet, along with, can you remember Johnny the caretaker? That case has been shut down as well. And even though there's proof there that that caretaker worked in that council, I've got permission now on Johnny's behalf to address that with you, and I shall be making that meeting. Also, secondly, I asked for a CSA action group meeting that you say you'd help me try and fund a meeting room. I rang Lisa and we need to also sort that out. And thirdly, quickly, because I want to go because somebody else might want to talk, regarding Chris Ayres, I did come to you at one point and ask you if Chris Ayres would meet with Operation Daybreak. A few key people at one point in one meeting would meet with us. People that will stay on, perhaps Nigel from East Midlands survivors, if we can meet with Operation Daybreak, showing our concerns for these survivors that are being shut down. And that is a meeting that we would ask you as our Crime Commissioner to arrange. It's not always about David Hollis. David Hollis is a fun person, I know, and dealing with you regarding the Goddard inquiry. But obviously the people that I've been working with is in these survivors are coming to myself.
Look, man, this is straightforward. You came to see me with that man. I was happy to see you. If you're still worried about it, come on. It's not a problem. If you'd like to come.
Yeah, please.
Can I just say something to you, Paddy?
No, let me finish the point. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
Come in and see us. We'll have a proper discussion.
Thank you.
On the room, Lisa talked to me about it. It was on hand. We want to get on to Lisa because there are issues around the time, but in principle, it's fine.
I'll be making a meeting, obviously, a couple of slides. Nigel's just got to have one. I think you've got to better because it's very important.
Which was?
You fucking dismiss it. I want to rush off in a minute.
What we're talking about. But the problem is if you start talking from Daybreak officers who are involved with the case, then you could be
Yes, it's not about that. We want to try and draw this line in the sand. Try and draw the line in the sand and move forward and get rid of this frustration and anger these survivors have got.
It has to be about him.
And one more thing, he just needs to make some concerns on that.
Paddy, last week on Friday, it was very good.
Like a scumbag to say to me, good for you. How do you think that left him feeling?
You again.
I understand that you've expressed that to the Commissioner, and that's something that's being dealt with at the moment.
Well, I'm not happy, right? You are accountable, right? Not that long ago, I was assaulted by an agent of the City Council delivering a letter. Now, my wife, who was over from America, witnessed an assault. It was reported. No, Mr. Eyre. I'm speaking to you courteously, and I believe I deserve some respect. Now, would you say it would be appropriate that if you was an investigating officer, you would want to take a victim statement?
I can't at the moment comment in relation to that case because I don't know about it.
He was assaulted in an coordinated conflict.
Just talking to gentleman. I'll happily look into it. I'll find out what happened in relation to that offence. I can't talk that through in detail with you now because I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happened in relation to it.
We have Chris, let me finish. Right. Now, a lot of survivors of stuff connected to Zeres and Daybreak have got serious issues. Now, we can't get past your gatekeepers. Right?
You do have regular conversations with the Commissioner, don't you?
No, listen, you're the Chief Constable, right? And at the end of the day, right?
And I regularly account.
We would like you to meet with some of the survivors and David Hollis, the chair of the CSA Action Group that we formed, right? Sit round the table with us, right? And show us at least some form of respect that you're prepared to work with survivors.
Nick, can I just explain to you what I've done? And I'll be very clear with you now, I'm conscious this is being recorded, so for all these people here, they can hear it. We've put and will continue to put great effort into making sure that all of the survivors of abuse, the offences are investigated to make sure that wherever we can, we bring those responsible to justice. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do, as you will know, because many of these things happened many years ago, and in those investigations, the records that existed at the time often don't exist now. Witnesses we find difficult to track down, but we nevertheless have got teams of officers working to make sure that those offences are investigated, and we have now got offenders charged, and last week we got our first conviction.
That man does not belong to Daybreak.
No, but he was identified through it.
Yes.
So he was
just the same as Joseph Crosby
He was identified through it, so we've been able to, I don't for a minute undervalue the rights of the victims of those offences and bringing that offender to justice through it.
Well, let me say
separately, can we finish
yes, sure.
Separately, Paddy from the outset has been really clear that he wanted to make sure that you as survivors had a voice and that you could have your experiences looked at and dealt with independently. My difficulty is, and you'll have seen the advice because I've shared it with others in terms of what we got from the QC, we can't have something separate and independent as a civil inquiry into those matters while we've got ongoing criminal investigations. So I have worked tirelessly with the Goddard inquiry to try and encourage them to come to Nottinghamshire to fulfil Paddy's commitment to you that survivors locally should have a voice, to make sure that you and other survivors did that. So I've done the work with John O'Brien and the team working for Goddard to encourage that. I've worked with the City Council and others to encourage that we enable you to have that voice in a way that will enable your experiences to be respected and you to have that voice without it compromising the criminal investigations and prosecutions. Because you know what, Michael, I know that you want those that were responsible to be brought to justice as well, don't you?
Well, one last thing I want to address.
Please.
Now, 4 months ago, right, I was told that my case papers were being sent to be signed off by the DCI. Right, 3 months after I've been told, I went to the CPS. CPS told me they're not there. Now we have your Chief Inspector, is it Mick Luke?
Mick Luke, that's right.
Telling me my papers have still not gone to CPS. It's a year ago, right, since Alan Smith got brought in now. You only brought him in, not you specifically, right, after the Mansfield Chad reported, find my rapist before I do. Because believe me, if I have to go and bring him in myself...
That's not why he was brought in. He was brought in because he was identified and we had witness evidence that would enable us to do so. And that case is being assessed. You and I hope and pray that the evidence that's there will enable a good decision to be made in relation to what happens around it. That has to be done on the basis of the evidence that we've been able to bring together. And you know how difficult that investigation has been, more than anybody else.
But you should know the difficulties that I've had all the way through.
Can I just
Please, can I just finish responding first?
Okay.
Can I just say, one of the things that I've been trying to say to others throughout the whole of this process, I heard the emotion upstairs, I heard the distress and the anger. You know, can I understand that? Absolutely. Every one of you survivors, with whatever you've been through, my heart goes out to you. I will use heaven and earth to make sure that with the investigations that we have, We do our level best to bring the most difficult offences and offenders to justice. But we're dealing often in a position where the documentary evidence doesn't exist. The witnesses can't be found because people don't remember things as clearly 30 or 40 years afterwards as they do at the time. Trying to identify, sometimes we don't have names of offenders. Sometimes people misremember the names of offenders. We've got enormous complexity around this. And I don't have the ability to turn around and say, I want to make things good for you. I have to work with the basis of how do we serve the requirements of the judicial system and the courts. Which is why alongside all that we've got going around the criminal investigations, we've been working with the City and County Council and with the health services to make sure that whatever they can do for survivors is done as well.
In order to hold you to account, one last thing, in order to hold you to account,
Yes.
right, I'd like a commitment from you in the here and now, right, to meet with the chair of our CSA action group, the chair of East Midlands Survivors, and a group of survivors.
Mickey,
we want to do this.
Mickey, I'm not going to reply to ultimatums anyway.
It's not an ultimatum.
Please understand what I just said. I will carry on working tirelessly to deal with all that's taking place in relation to it. The reason that Paddy meets with you rather than me is I'm dealing with the operational leadership and investigations, and trust me, I work tirelessly to do so. Paddy is the Police and Crime Commissioner accountable to the public. He holds me to account for what I do and deliver. Trust me, he does it in a very visceral and direct way in relation to it. I need to be very careful that I don't do or say anything that would in any way compromise the ongoing criminal investigations and all the work that's taking place. That does not mean that my heart doesn't go out to each and every one of you. It's under what you live through and you experience, nor that I don't want to see you have justice or care or support.
We're still living with the abuse.
I understand.
My name is Josephine Armour-Cradle. It will never be forgotten because it's a famous name.
Yes, Josephine.
I'm asking for my case to be looked into and investigated.
Closing people
I
down.
have reported it and they've told me this week there's
Closing
no,
people down, there's been abuse.
no evidence because they can't read it.
Right. That's my difficulties. Josephine, I don't know the evidence in each and every one of the cases, along with all the other 68,000 crimes that we deal with a year in Nottinghamshire. I can't deal with the detail of every offence. What I can deal with is the detective superintendent who leads this work and her DCIs and hold them to account for their investigations. What we do in relation to making sure that we're dealing with it effectively is that we have the investigations that we do reviewed independent and externally.
It's dismissed before it gets there.
We don't dismiss in the out of hand. What we deal with, we have to deal with the evidence that we have on cases. And please understand this one. Can you hold this one? When we're dealing with the criminal investigation, we're dealing with a criminal standard of proof. Our difficulty around that is that we have to provide evidence to the Crown Prosecution Service that would satisfy them that there is a substantive evidence that would cause a criminal prosecution. They often use the term more than a 51% chance of achieving a conviction. And of course the conviction standard is beyond a reasonable doubt. So all the stuff that we do in that space around the criminal investigations, we work to bring as many to justice as we can. There are frighteningly few of these cases that we've been able to bring because of when these offences happened and the complexity of getting evidence to meet those standards. Few of those are coming to prosecution, but we have a number now charged, and we have more cases in the system that we're taking to the CPS.
What's going to happen about the misfeasance in public office? Because there's been
Debt Free TV, in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.